This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Tom, welcome in to the Morning Rush. I know the big topic is Arkansas basketball and the NBA draft tonight, but I want to start with you with football, if that's okay. I was looking at the 2015 team and the 2023 team that we had ahead, and Dan Enos coming in first year in his offensive coordinator. You're working once again with Sam Pittman. You've got a senior quarterback. You've got a 1,000-yard back. Have you looked into any of maybe the similarities from that team to this team upcoming this year?
Hi, good morning, everybody. When Dan Enos was hired, I did some looking at that and talked to Austin Allen, who obviously was a quarterback when Dan Enos was here. There were some similarities. I mean, he's working with a veteran quarterback again, and he had Brandon Allen, of course, in 2015, who was a veteran quarterback. And so, there are some similarities. And I believe with Alex Collins and Jonathan Williams, you had multiple years with 1,000-yard backs. And so he's going to have material to work with, guys who've gotten it done before. You do wish maybe they had another veteran O-lineman or two, and that'll be one of the big questions on this team. But, and here's the thing with Dan Enos. I feel like he's kind of adapted his methods to modern football, which is more make the quarterback someone you have to account for in the run game and the run-pass options. And you can see that he's kind of blended what he likes to do with that. And early on in spring, it looked to me like the completion percentages were a little bit lower than you'd want. But as things moved on, you could tell that KJ was kind of growing into the system, and, they were getting it. So long-winded answer to say that I do believe there are similar items of talent and production at certain points in the offense.
Both teams finished 7-6 the year before as well, which I thought was interesting. I know Arkansas wins the bowl game against Texas and Kansas. Now, when you look at the offense, what Dan Enos is going to head up, you know what you got at quarterback in KJ. You know what you got at running back. You're a little less sure about the offensive line, tight end room, and the wide receiver room. Tom, of the three, O-line, tight end, wide receiver, what is your bigger question mark?
Probably O-line. And here's the thing. They went into last year having lost a lot of receiver production. Traylon Burks was gone and Tyson Morris. And so they went in and, like Keytron Jackson was about your most experienced wideout, Warren Thompson. And it turned out that Hazelwood and Landers worked out, and that allowed Thompson and Keytron to be, maybe options 3 and 4. And it was a highly productive offense. But those guys came from Oklahoma and, Georgia/Toledo, talking about Hazelwood and Landers. And this year, the guys they're bringing in come from smaller, Hillsdale College and Texas A&M Commerce. And so you wonder, does the leap up in competition impact them? And what I saw in spring was they just got better and better. And I think, once Armstrong really had the playbook down better, and both of them, you could just see their production going up. And Tesla had some unbelievable catches the last couple of weeks of spring. And you're like, okay, this kid fits on this level. So I would say I think the receiving core will be okay. And then obviously, Stevens, Satania, J. Don Wilson, when he comes back, he had a great winter, they say, and then, he broke his leg. But I think they might end up having good numbers, and they have height and all that stuff and speed. It's the O-line. They had such a bad scrimmage, the first real scrimmage, at giving up pressure from the edges, and maybe that was indicative of that Arkansas was going to have great pass rushers on the edge, but they had to move Patrick Kudus from inside to tackle, and he stayed there. and then Devin Manuel stayed at left tackle. Well, you've got to be, you got to have good ankles and hips and strength and agility out there at tackle, and you just hope that can hold up. And if it does, and Sam Pittman is a offensive line guru, and Cody Kennedy's really coming along in the business, you'd think they could make that work. And if so, I mean, I don't really have a lot of concerns about tight ends, because I think between backs being a more physical guy, Washington and Hogs, they might not be able to run as much two tight end and be super physical the way some of Dan Enos' teams did in 15 and 16, but I think the pass catching part of it should be there. And then, of course, they're adding Easter, and they added 2 or 3 guys, Gums and another in the portal. So I think the numbers at tight end are going to be okay.
Yeah, you was talking about that offensive line, and Chuck was mentioning who's going to protect the left side. You talk about Devin Manuel. You're looking at probably sophomores as your bookends. I like the fact that you got experienced players at guard and center with Lather and Lemon and Braun. Limmer and Braun there. I mean, you got some seniors and a junior transfer, but you really need some guys like Tykees Crawford, who's got some time and got some years under their belt to really step up and use that experience and be in the mix.
I agree with you. It's funny that, well, it's not funny, but they wanted to get more guys experience, but it's like the linebacker core for years and years. They'd be like, yeah, we need to be deeper. And Grant Morgan and Hayden Henry are out there playing and Bumper Poole are playing tons of snaps. And they finally went 3 deep a couple years ago with Poole coming off the bench. And then Pooh Paul last year was kind of the third guy. So they're finally like playing a few more linebackers. But I always thought, wouldn't it be helpful if you could just put Tykees Crawford in for a series or two? But I guess every game is so meaningful and tight that sometimes you don't feel like you can afford to lose an offensive series if a guy has a bad series and gives up a sack. So you're right. Sophomores on the edges, they know that Kutas is going to grow into being a great player. Manuel, we haven't seen enough of him yet to know whether he's going to be really good. But I think the backup plan always would be that Latham could slide out the tackle if they just had to, and they would make do and find somebody else. Guys like Andrew Chambly, in-state kids, Emarion Harris, it's time for those guys to start giving them some reps too, and maybe they'll have the depth and versatility to plug and play and be okay. But, yeah, the blind side is going to be a big, big deal, and who knows, they might end up having to play tight ends over there or use some help sometimes.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the defensive roster and kind of what we've sketched out as a depth chart, and pretty good chance that like 5 of your 11 starters are brand new in this program, transfer players, and like 7 or maybe 8 players out of your starting 11 on defense are players that transferred at some point in their career in here, and maybe not for this year, but there'll be a lot of names we got to get familiar with. And then you got a guy like Turian Carter up front that was not healthy last year. He's going to be back. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of new bodies, a lot of new faces on that first 11, it looks like.
Yeah, a lot of questions. I mean, here you come off a season where you gave up a ton of yardage, particularly through the air. You've got a new coordinator who's going to be very aggressive. It's the kind of stuff where, if one guy slips or misses an assignment, you give up big plays. But I feel like they feel like they've got to impact quarterback play. And they did it some last year with the school record 42 sacks. But I think you have to combine that with better coverage. So we'll see. And, yeah, you're right. The thing about a lot of the new names is it's guys who have experience elsewhere, like Antonio Greer, Trajan Jeffcoat. I think they're going to be really deep at D end. I mean, you got holdover guys like Zach Williams and Jashad Stewart, and then you're adding in and Landon Jackson, and you're adding in guys like Trajan Jeffcoat, John Morgan, and some others. And so they felt like they could go 3 deep, and I really do hope they rotate, because they were pretty good at rotating last year as well. And then, at linebacker, I mean, you guys like Jaheim Thomas, and in the secondary, Snacks Johnson and Walcott and Singletary. These are all guys who transferred from Division I schools, and they've seen how major colleges run, and maybe you can plug and be a better defense this year because they're sure going to need it.
And you mentioned some of those guys. A lot of those guys started. They didn't just pluck those guys off the bench from other schools, and I think that's important considering you have one of the least returning productions in the conference right now. So I think those names you mentioned, the fact that they started at other schools, is a big thing to discuss. Tom Murphy's our guest, Whole Hog Sports, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Tom, LSU's got a chance to go to the championship series against Wake Forest on ESPN2 tonight. Tigers get it done?
I think well, here's the thing. Is Paul Skeens going to come back on 4 days rest? I did not hear the post game. You guys might know more than me, but yeah, if you're LSU, you would like to start Paul Skeens in game one of the final, but you've got to win tonight. And if he can go on 4 days rest, maybe they go with him. I mean, that's what TCU did with Klecker last night. So, I think they might win. I just think they're a program that's got the longer postseason pedigree than Wake, and Wake might be feeling a little more pressure as the number one. But I'm anticipating a really good game.
Yeah, Chuck sent us a note earlier that both aces are going to go tonight for Wake and LSU.
Oh,
so,
okay,
that'll make for a great game. But I'd say it also makes for advantage Florida too.
It does make advantage Florida, and they seem to be more in the driver's seat because they're like Arkansas in 18. They played 3 games and they got their rotation back to their top guy for game one. But Lauder, I don't think he pitched a ton. The Wake Forest ace in game one, I can't remember his pitch count, but maybe he's fresher than Skeens. But that was a great game, and it's going to be neat to see both the aces if that's what happens, and then whoever wins, you're going with number 2 against Florida, and you're going to have to outscore those guys.
Yeah. Hey, well, if nothing else, it gives us something to watch before the NBA draft tonight, Tom.
Yeah, that's the truth. And when you guys brought me on, you were talking about the analytics and Anthony Black's chances of being an NBA All-Star, and I have to say, analytics are okay, they're fun, but I gave up on those things when the Falcons had a 99% chance to win the Super Bowl, and they didn't. So all it is just a number you pluck out of the air and go, hey, they have a 99% chance to win this game now. They're ahead of the Patriots, and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I've been on the roughest, most disappointing end of advanced analytics, and I'm sick of it.
Yeah, well, you live in the right place for that because we as Razorbacks have been on the wrong end of that a few times in our lifetime. Tom, enjoy all the stuff coming up. Baseball, draft. We got a lot to get to next Tuesday when you join us again.
Sounds exciting. Thanks, guys.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.